Just a few minutes ago, the Honor launch in London just finished, where, as well as other devices, the main device launched was the Honor 70 smartphone. And we're lucky enough to have had a review device for a couple of weeks at this point, and being able to put it through parts of our long-term review. But more importantly, we're able to give you some first impressions after just over 2 weeks using the device. The Honor 70 is a premium mid-range smartphone. And I don't use the word premium lightly. It looks and feels lovely. It has a hardened glass curved screen at the front, which curves into the edges gently on the two sides. The back is similarly curved at the edges, and it gives a really good feel in the hand. That's in part due to the plastic construction of the back. It's in some ways similar to Samsung's Glastic. It's soft touch, iridescent plastic, which really does give a premium feel to it. And on the back, we also have that dual camera module, which is great. It reminds us of other premium devices we've seen over the last few years. So for a device in this price range, it's a really nice design. That design isn't just the premium bit of premium mid-range smartphone. The overall device with its chipset, with its display, and almost as importantly, the software running on it, which is Magic UI 6.1, give an overall very smooth and refined experience. Definitely one you'd expect at a much higher price point. And if you haven't already, check out our videos on the Magic 4 Pro from Honor, because there's a lot of similarities between the two devices. So that curved screen at the front of the Honor 70 is a lovely OLED screen. That means that it has very good color saturation if you leave it in vivid mode, and you can adjust that in the settings, as well as deep blacks. The contrast ratio on this display is amazing. And even in direct sunlight, it works really well for me. The display is a 120 Hz adaptive refresh one. That means that it will, in certain applications or conditions, give you a very smooth scrolling experience, or more importantly, just really smooth animations and just general performance. The display is the key part you interact with. It's a full high definition plus one, that's 1080 by 2400 pixels, which is more than enough for most people's normal smartphone use and media consumption. In terms of media consumption, I've had no issues using Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and YouTube as well with my YouTube Premium account. So I really do enjoy using video on this device, and that really hasn't affected the battery life that much. Speaking of battery life, the Honor 70 has a 4800 mAh battery. That's an excellent battery overall in terms of how it's performed for me. I wasn't using this as a super gaming device that much, but for media creation, mainly pictures and videos, and everyday smartphone use, it would get me from unplugging it in the morning to going to bed at night with no issues, mostly with between 15 and 20% battery life. When using the Honor 70, I haven't noticed any overheating or heating of it, despite the warm summer we've had so far this year. And that's a really good sign. That may also be due to the fact that this isn't running a Snapdragon 8 series chipset. It opts instead for a Snapdragon 7 series chipset. And honestly, if I hadn't been told that this was a Snapdragon 778 Plus G chipset, I wouldn't have known. For everything I was doing, there was little or no stutter, even when doing heavy multitasking, and I really got on well with the device. It takes us back to the conversation we've been having for quite a while here at Tech Travel Geeks. Do you really need a Snapdragon 8 series chipset? Well, the Honor 70 makes that clear. You definitely don't. For everything I've done on it, there's been no issues, and that Snapdragon 7 series chipset did well. The review device Honor provided us with is one with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. There are other variants as well, including an 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage model, and the top of the line one with 12GB of RAM and 512GB of storage. It's great of Honor to offer plenty of options in terms of storage. If you're thinking of purchasing an Honor 70, just be aware of the fact that the Honor 70 doesn't have expandable storage. As we saw in our setup video, and as we will likely do in a follow-up quick how-to video, if you open that SIM tray at the bottom of the device, you only have 2 SIM card slots. Yes, the review device we were provided with is a dual SIM one, so you will be able to run 2 SIM cards at once. That's particularly useful when you're traveling. The Honor 70 has been a great smartphone over the course of the last 2 weeks for us. This isn't our long-term review. We still have to do some heavy testing of it in travel conditions, but I can say that over a day of traveling to and from Glasgow and attending an event where I was using the camera a lot, I had no issues whatsoever. And if anything, I found the software, especially in the camera, really, really good. Now, speaking of cameras, the back of the Honor 70 has 3 cameras, or 3 lenses. The main camera on the back of the Honor 70 is a 54 megapixel one. This seems to be a newer model than other 50 or 54 megapixel sensors we've seen, and you get a lot of the smarts in the Honor 70's Magic UI 6.1. It's not all about pictures though. That 54 megapixel sensor takes really good 4K video. The wide-angle lens camera is a 50 megapixel unit. The fact that you don't have a macro camera on the Honor 70 isn't a bad thing. That's because Honor have gone back to doing what I think a lot of camera phone makers should have been doing for a long time, which is using that super wide-angle lens camera to adapt and take decent macro shots. The third camera isn't one you'll be using much. It's essentially just a 2 megapixel depth sensor. That makes it slightly easier to do things like autofocus, but more importantly, take those blurry background portrait pictures that people tend to enjoy taking and posting on social media nowadays. Speaking of social media, Magic UI 6.1 seems to have improved some of the sharing options for social channels. It seems to be a more easy experience than previous versions of Magic UI to me. Now, we've talked about the 3 cameras on the back. It may not be a high number of cameras for a spec sheet, but in terms of the overall quality of the pictures you take in a wide selection of situations, it is a very good overall setup. On the front, in that cutout at the middle of the screen, you have a 32 megapixel selfie camera. In terms of video, it captured video calls very well, and the microphone performance on the Honor 70 was great for video calling friends and family. The only downside, speaking of microphones, to the device that I found is that the speaker on the bottom of the device is a mono one. You don't have a stereo speaker setup, such as the one we saw on the Honor Magic 4 Pro. The Honor 70 has a decent quality speaker at the bottom of the device, but if, say, when you're playing Call of Duty Mobile or any other game in landscape mode, or even if you're just watching video in landscape mode, you might notice that if you cover the speaker grill, you won't get much sound out of it.
Like renewable energy technologies, we're going to ask him about pizza because priorities.
This can be at times frustrating, but then again, it's down to how you use it. In terms of connectivity, you have all the usual 5G, 4G, 3G bands, and if you want to switch 5G off, you can do so. It's up to you. The Honor 70 does have NFC, and you can use that for Google Pay and for accessing public transit and making payments. I really have found that easy. The sweet spot of where the NFC antenna has never been an issue, especially when going to Morrison's to pick up my milk. So the Honor 70's Bluetooth 5.2 works great. I had no issues connecting the Earbuds 3 Pro to the Honor 70, and it performed flawlessly. Even within my house, I can go downstairs leaving my phone upstairs and still have decent Bluetooth coverage, which for other headphones can be quite a challenge sometimes. In terms of security, the Honor 70 gives us quite a few options for securing your device. And the main one is the under-screen fingerprint scanner. It works really well. It's fast, responsive, and even with slightly damp hands, it works for me. This is with the included screen protector that comes with the Honor 70, so great overall performance from the fingerprint scanner. But if you're in a situation where you want to, or you need to use face recognition, yes, you can use the Honor 70's 32 megapixel front-facing camera and Magic UI 6.1 to unlock your phone using the Face Unlock feature. It's handy for different situations, and I've had no issues with it. It's good to see Honor back on the scene with the Honor 70. And just like with more recent devices from Honor, this has full Play Store access, and you have full access to apps and services like Google Maps, Gmail, and Google Pay. So this is a fully functioning smartphone for Western markets. So, wrapping up after just over 2 weeks of using the Honor 70 as one of my main smartphones, I have to say, it's a lovely, lovely device. The premium mid-range tag is really premium, and in terms of overall ergonomics, it's slightly slimmer and lighter than other devices with similarly sized screens, and I really enjoyed using it. It's very easy to pocket compared to other smartphones, even with the included TPU case on it. Speaking of that, in the box you also get a charger. That 66-watt fast charger is very, very fast, and whenever I've needed to top up the phone, especially when traveling, it has worked very well for me. So great to see Honor keeping up with their very, very fast charging, which we first saw on the Honor 50 last year. And with the Honor 70, we find a more refined overall experience thanks to Magic UI 6.1. Obviously, this is the first of a series of videos we'll be doing about the Honor 70, about accessories for it, and more importantly, our long-term review, which will be coming soon. If there's anything you'd like to know and we haven't covered in this video, please leave a comment in the section below. We'll do our best to get back to you within the comments, and who knows, we might even do a dedicated video about the question you've just asked us about. We'll be back tomorrow with our initial unboxing of the Honor 70, and the day after, that should be Saturday, we'll be back with the setup experience, where we'll go through Magic UI 6.1 setup, as well as the apps that I've installed and how I've customized my own smartphone experience. But for now, thanks for watching, and goodbye from me.